All right, so I'm going to call to order tonight's Board of Directors meeting for Montessori Peaks Academy. Tuesday, January 16th at 6:33 p.m. And let's get started with roll call.
Okay, I'm just going to go in alphabetical order by first name. So if you want to unmute when you're next. Okay. Adam,
Here.
Emily,
Here.
Erie,
Here. Justin told me he'd be a couple minutes late. If you could just know what time he joins us.
Perfect. Okay. Do we have anything? Will Mercedes also be joining late?
I have not heard from her.
Okay. I am here. We've got Ted.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
And then non-members, we've got Robin and Jen, right?
Mhm.
Here. We've got a quorum.
Thank you. So I'd like to go over the mission statement. It is the mission of Montessori Peaks Academy to achieve high standards of individual excellence by guiding the whole student through an exceptional learning experience based on the educational philosophy of Maria Montessori. Has anybody received any community comments? I have not. And normally we post the agenda by the front door of the school, and we weren't able to do so because of the weather, but also nobody was there to see it. So just for the record, I'm going to put a copy of tonight's agenda up there anyway tomorrow morning. So if anybody has any desire to see it, they still can. So with that, let's move over to the principal report.
You're on mute, Robin.
Yes, I'm going to actually share my screen because I added some things to it. And now I made my husband test this out with me, so it all works now. Make sure I can get to where I want to be.
And this is fit for the public, right? We put this up on the YouTube page.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I should just go over it and you guys can tell me. That might be better if I don't do that. So I think I'll just talk about it. Okay. Because you have a copy of most of it. So staffing updates, Nick is back and he's fully back at work. Tom right now is out for medical reasons, possible workman's comp. So Jen and I are working through that. Sachi, her primary assistant, her assistant was hired, Miss Michelle. And then Judy's assistant, we've already got a replacement. So Miss Becca resigned to pursue other options. I put on there that we're currently pursuing a strong candidate and we've already hired her. Now I'm drawing a blank on, her name's Miss Carter. And she's worked with Judy before. So we are fully staffed right now. Jen and I are pretty excited about that because one of the reasons we're talking about salaries tonight is because of the situations with assistants and the turnover. And then we'll continue as ever to look at before and after care subs and things. Community and culture building. So Miss Lucina, she arranged a biodiversity assembly. It kind of came together more at the last minute. We were hoping to be over in the North building. It didn't work out. So we kind of had to scramble a little, but we had that on January 9th and 10th. So we split it up by levels. And it was Amy Yarger, who's a scientist from the Butterfly Pavilion, and talking about biodiversity. And so I really appreciate all the teachers being so flexible because we had to do it over lunch hours. So we kind of had to shift some things around because we didn't want to impact Miss Margaret's gym time. Let's see. We're still waiting on when we're going to schedule any kind of North building welcoming to the outside community. We're probably going to proceed some with the staff, maybe some kind of staff social as soon as we get the containers cleared out, because we are allowed to have staff in there. We cannot have children in there and no one from the community. They're just probably working people that work at the school. So, and I think, Reed, I believe you're doing a North building update, correct? I don't want to double. Okay. Roundtable discussion this month. We just had roundtable last week. And we kind of went over we did go over some of the forms. We have some behavior forms and injury forms, and they've been used for a long, long time. We're talking decades. So we revisited those and what we wanted to keep, and then what should really be in the online system, because that is really the direction all Jeffco schools are in. So we're just kind of trying to revamp that. We'll still have some form of a behavior form. One of the forms that hopefully none of you have seen, but we're getting rid of one that's something that's very dated. So there's just some things that have been in place for a long time that it needs to be handled in the online system. We also talked about the student survey, and there, among the staff, there's a lot of mixed feelings. They really, I think all teachers agree, we don't get good data from actual student surveys like Google Forms or I've given them for years. I feel the same way. So we talked a lot about instead having those one-on-one conferences with our students in our classes, and then getting together as a staff and talking about trends. So that's what we've been talking about recently, is moving in that direction. And I still need to double check with the district. I think as a charter, we could do something like that and collect the data that way, but it really is difficult to get accurate data from a student survey, maybe for a parent and staff survey as well, but definitely a student survey, because students often, if they had a bad day, that's bullying, you know what I mean? And it takes a lot of discussion to try to get some accurate information. So that's what we've been talking about. Nothing's been decided yet, still just on the table for discussion. We talked about, we definitely scheduled our assessment days in, or tentatively did. And then Erin and I will be working on our calendar, and we'll be able to present that. We should be, Reed, I believe we talked about February for the board meeting, correct? Yep, so that's our goal, is to have that ready for the next board meeting for you guys to look at. And then we also talked about, there's been a lot of discussion on staff of wanting an outdoor sensory area. We really want that. That's not the outdoor committee. That's really going to come down to a playground committee. And, I've already touched base with Caitlin, and I basically have to get that playground committee going so we can start discussing planning for that and moving forward with that. Middle school update. So first round enrollment ended on Friday, and I'll talk about enrollment numbers in a second, but we are pretty happy with what we're seeing. And we're definitely, the plan really, even if we had a low enrollment, was to have both teachers over there. I truly, and Beth does too, feel like the only way to make this program successful is to have both those key players together as a team. And that's the direction we're going. The North Building move. So we've got a task sheet for all our different stakeholders, Nick, the office, the clinic, and we're working on that. Boxed items are already being moved in. Just some that maybe Rhett and Melissa have. And then we are, I put out a form. I don't know how many parents actually read the newsletter yet, but we're hoping to try to clear out those containers on Saturday, the 20th. We're hoping to see if we can get enough volunteers. And what we want to do is kind of set up a little shopping experience in that bottom level. And so Rhett and Robin and Melissa can first go through and see what they need in their classrooms. And then when they're done and that stuff's been moved out, having the staff social and like a shopping experience at the same time, so they can, in anything left that those people do not want in the North Building, could be taken over to the main building. And then anything left beyond that would be donated to another school or something like that. So we're hoping to get Nick some help with clearing out those containers. Right now I have 0 on the form that signed up, but it was Friday when we sent that out late. So hopefully we'll get something. And I know the homeschool parents, I guess, are very interested in helping out. So hopefully we'll have enough. All right, the enrollment. So on the original principal's report, said it's stable, and that's talking about this year's. And Veronica is still trying to fully fill our preschool, but we've only got a couple remaining, but she's still in that process. But the big news is we're pretty happy with the numbers we're seeing after round 1 ended. This number includes homeschool and pre-K 4. I think I could have shared this, but I wasn't positive. Right now we're sitting at 384. And if you subtracted out homeschool at 19 and pre-K at 14, that's where we'd be sitting. The exciting thing is we have 14 7th graders and 9 8th graders. So our conservative projection to try to start this program off well was 15 to 20. We were going to be super, happy if we could even hit that high end. So we're sitting at 23. We've got a couple in the wings that from homeschool and things that we already know may come over to the middle school. And as Veronica said, this a lot changes by August, but that's where we're sitting. So we're pretty happy with those numbers right now. And so then round 2 starts, and then we'll see how it all plays out. But there's definitely, she's got wait lists going, which I think just feed into round 2. I've got to double check with her, but yeah, anyway, it's looking good across the board. In fact, movement out of the lower levels is very like really from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, very low movement of people opting to go elsewhere, as is always with 6th grade. We've definitely got 15 that committed elsewhere. That's pretty typical at Denison as well. It's just because of the different middle schools, if they know they want to go another route, that's going to happen. So we will be actively seeking to fill those spots. And I'm going to hold off on the salary discussion until we get there. But any questions on the principal's report or anything about enrollment? Okay. All right, pretty exciting about the middle school number. All right, that's all for me, Irit.
Okay. So North Building update. As everybody knows, we are waiting on the certificate of occupancy that went through Jefferson County. They are holding on to that paperwork. What happened when they looked at everything is they did not like the way that the crosswalk lined up with the curb on the south side of Capri. And that south side curb line is actually not ADA compliant with the crosswalk. So it's got to go back through and get a design. The design has already been submitted to HPM to give to the contractors and to check with the city for any comments and see if it needs to be changed. Contractors have already been contacted by the construction company and are kind of on standby for the final plan and bid. We're trying to get this done within 2 weeks. So the design getting missed on that end, we are not paying for the redesign of that curb line. We do have to pay for the concrete itself when they relay it with the right quote unquote bumps in the sidewalk to be ADA compliant. So hopefully that will get done quickly. As Robin already said, we can move furniture into the building. We can get classrooms set up. We can have staff doing some work in the building. We just cannot have students doing work in that building at this point in time. So it does allow us to finish getting set up. And there are things that do have to happen before kids can be in the building anyway, with health clinic stuff and just things that have to get done. And we're trying to get it all done while we're waiting for the certificate of occupancy. There is a chance that that could just all line up and it'll work out in the long run anyway. So that's where we're at with the North Building. I also got an email from the roofing company. All the work is completely done by them. The final inspection from the city keeps getting pushed back. They want to see it without snow on it. So hopefully that'll get done soon. But otherwise, everything's done for the roof. But that would not prevent us from getting the kids in. Excuse me. It's that final certificate of occupancy. Any questions on the North Building, the situation with it? Nope.
I just want to thank you and compliment you for how you've handled that whole project. Things have come out of left field over and over and over again. And you have really just stepped up and handled each and every single one of them. And so I just really want to thank you for heading up that project so gracefully when things have not gone so gracefully for the project.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Rebecca, a lot. It's been quite time consuming. So I'm gonna kind of hand it over to Jen and Robin for salary discussion. As we all know, cost of living has gone up everywhere, probably around the world. And they have a better idea of where things are at, what we can and cannot do. And I'm just going to give you guys the floor to kind of walk us through. I don't think we're asking for a vote tonight. Well, no, not tonight. I think we're waiting for more of that final enrollment numbers for budget, but the board needs to hear this information so we have time to think about it. And if anybody has questions, we have time to ask questions before a vote is asked of us.
In the past, have we entered executive session for salary discussions?
Sometimes depending on what the discussion was, but I think this is kind of a broad, this is not an individual kind of names situation.
Something on our salary schedule, that's financial transparency.
Okay.
So we can talk about this openly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
So is this something that so Jen and I, the reason you don't have a hard copy in your hands is Jen and I kind of finalized what we were talking about this morning, actually. Is this something so there was a 22-23 salary schedule, no names mentioned. Could I share that? Is that something I can share in this meeting right now?
Yes, that's on our website.
Okay, and even the changes we're suggesting, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing it then. Okay, hold on just a second. Make sure I can get to where I need to be. Okay. So when you, this was the 22-23 salary schedule. Now, last year, I think Gary did some different things, just trying to bring people up to speed because maybe they had been installed several years ago on their salary. So this wasn't used in its entirety last year, but Jen and I took a look at it. And for the lead educator salary, we felt like this was very competitive with Compass. We looked at a couple other places. We feel like this is very competitive. And so proceeding with this, definitely, we would, so that's like the 22-23 one. When you look at the changes we're suggesting for this, the one change is that master's degree stipend, if possible, going forward, we'd really like it to make it part of the base salary, because that's really not right just to make it a stipend. So, because that's a big deal, if somebody's put that kind of time in, that really should increase the base. So that's one of the changes we're proposing. The stipend for the teaching license, that's as is. So really for the lead teachers, not much change, except, if our numbers are strong and everything, we would like to proceed with COLA. And if we have really good PPR numbers, we'd really like, so COLA right now is 3.2%. And we would, in a perfect world, if everything's going really well, we'd even like to bump that to 5%, but that just depends on our numbers. But just having everybody receive their typical steps here, if that's, if they get to these different bands, but then with the COLA. The assistant salary schedule is the one we're really focusing on. We have had a huge, so if you look right here, this is for 22-23. The base salary was $24,000 with these stipends for experience. So we've got some pretty low assistant salaries for the amount of responsibility we give them. If they were just paras or EAs, I would say, yes, the hourly they're getting is very appropriate. It's comparable with the district. They are not just EAs. They're almost like co-teachers, and they really take on a lot of responsibility. So with employee retention, we'll reduce, cost in training, administrative time, screening, interviewing, and thousands of dollars spent on job posts. And additionally, it's overall best for the students, obviously, to retain assistants and lead teachers. So if we look right here, we've lost half of our assistants after 1 year since the 22-23 school year. Often what happens is when we're interviewing somebody, they seem like a great candidate. And then when we offer the job, they find out, even though they kind of know ahead of time, the hourly, they decide they really can't do that. It really is too low. And all the lead teachers know this. Anybody I've ever come in contact with has brought this up to me. So if you look at the current details of, our world right now, the average cost of living in Colorado, approximately 46,000 or 22 an hour. COLA is slated to be 3.2%. The current salary schedule for assistants only falls into the almost 18 to 19 per hour. So not close. And we often have to give them a signing bonus just to get them to sign. So it really takes a lot of, Jen does an amazing job really trying to figure out how to get people to want to be there. And I think they love being at MPA. I just think that my daughter turned down a job offer because Starbucks was paying more. That's just an example. So if you look at some of the listings, so Jen found these, like if you look at Jimmy John's, Sprouts, Target, Amazon, I said not to mention Starbucks because that has a really high salary actually for some of those people. Really we're asking a lot of these assistants, and they do so much for our children. They're such an integral part of MPA that we've really got to figure this out and get this fixed. Again, as long as our numbers and everything stay solid. So our proposals right now, and again, this is still something we're discussing, but we're proposing an increase to $29,000 annually. So 36 per hour. So that's a 12% increase. In addition, we'd like to give them then the COLA that goes with it. So 12% of our current salaries of assistants comes out to approximately $55,000. So the big focus this year is kind of maintaining the lead salaries, but also giving the COLA so that everybody has a raise for that. But the big focus is assistants, and leads would not disagree with that. Like it's been an issue for a while. So Jen, did I leave anything out that you want to add anything into that?
I just want to make sure we understand that. So the proposed salary changes. So anyone we hire new next year, their starting annual would be 29. And then we have what's down here, if they have a master's, bachelor's, associates, any Montessori training, there's a bump. And then to bring all of my assistants that have been here a while, to give them that 12% that we're, raising the salary to, that would cost us about $55,000. So I just want to make that clear.
So right now, that is what we're discussing. If you wanted to take a look, well, I don't think you need to take a look at this, but I can share my document with people again. It's just so you have a hard copy, but this is an example of the assistant salaries. We think this is the current one for Compass. So what we're proposing.
This was from February 2022. Right. So okay. Yeah, it's pretty current.
Right. So we are definitely trying to be at least competitive with Compass, but also really retaining. Our assistants are amazing and we want to retain them. We really do put a lot of effort into their time in the classroom, what they do with students. So that is on the table right now. And we know this all comes down to our enrollment numbers and, the PPR, which we're still waiting on, obviously, and then taking it from there to see what we can do to make this happen. So any questions right now? This really is just food for thought right now. Nothing you have to decide tonight, but just food for thought.
I just wanted to add to that, just to make sure the board understands the PPR it's per pupil revenue that we get from the state. And so for each kid, there's a specific amount. And the reason Robin said that we're waiting on it is because legislatively in the state of Colorado, they're going to vote on the final numbers for the PPR for next school year, and they haven't done that yet. There is a chance it could go up again from what it is this year, but we don't know for sure. There's proposed amounts, but it could be changed during the legislative process.
Any other questions?
So just quickly, assuming that the funding comes in per student where we expect it, or even if it holds flat, is it a big stretch on enrollment to be able to do this? Or is there more that we need to do just from an enrollment perspective, or are we kind of like on a track to be able to get there? Or is it premature to discuss that?
I think we've got to wait out a little bit on enrollment. Right now, enrollment's looking pretty good. And with the middle school retaining more kids, hopefully there'd be, we have additional salaries too with that. But I think we're going to have to wait a little bit and see where that enrollment goes. Because as Veronica said, it can shift some, but it is looking strong right now. And then it would take, our team to look at the budget and go, okay, where are we going to make this happen? I really have to give a kudos to Jen Webb and Beth for all the efforts they go through to try to find, very effective assistants that will take that kind of salary, because it's pretty low and it's hard to live in Colorado for anyone. So, but like I said, my daughter went through the interview process and then could make more at Starbucks, and she has to pay her apartment rent, so that's very typical of what we're experiencing. Now, if we had more, moms like maybe or dads that were like staying at home that wanted, once their kids were in school, I think we had more of that in years past at all the schools really for EAs, but we don't have that as much anymore. I think both people are usually working, so it's really finding those, sometimes the younger people that don't, it'll take a little bit lower salary but want to be on the education track. So in other words, I think we're gonna have to wait it out a little.
Yep.
And I think also whenever you look at a budget, in education, well, in anything, right, there's all kinds of expenditures. I think it's really prioritizing for the year what is our most important thing. And I know that Dr. Gary last year, I think he worked to kind of do the same thing with some of the lead salaries that were actually on the lower end because of maybe during the pandemic things stalling or something like that. It's the same thing here. We've got a situation and it really has been hard to retain it. And I don't think it's because they don't like working at MPA. It really is. That's a low salary and it's, you know, it's a lot of work while you're there. Anyone else? Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Well, yeah, we'll keep watching for those numbers and then we'll bring it back up next in February. Okay.
The next thing I have is the 2024-2025 academic calendar. I was hoping tonight that we'd be able to share sort of a rough draft with everybody. I don't think we're there at this point. As soon as one is ready, I'm going to send it out to the board in an email, asking you to send me individual responses for feedback or questions that I can funnel back to the school. The reason I say that is because in February, we're going to need to vote. So what happens is the Jeffco family calendar comes out and it's on their website. And so what happens is MPA takes that calendar and each school within Jeffco has the ability to add or move things a little bit here and there within their contracts and unions and all that stuff. So what MPA does is we look at the number of days we have to have contact days and the holidays and where they want to put assessment days and make sure that we're within all the educational laws. And then it gets sent over to the board to kind of look over and double check and see if we have any questions. And then we have to vote for approval of that calendar before it can be kind of adopted by the school. Because we need to vote on in February, I'm going to send that out for the feedback and funnel it back, and then they'll make any changes and I'll get it back to you guys. Anybody have any questions about that? Those who haven't been on the board before, it's new. But for everybody else, it's something that we did last year.
And so Erin and I have been slated to talk about this past Friday. I don't know if everybody knows she was in a car accident and she's fine, but she wasn't there Friday. So
I just assumed it was the snow day today.
Well, that partially, Erin and I actually met this morning, but we had some other things we had to take care of, like the REDAC funds first. But we are planning to talk about it this Friday. So I could, after that, I could get you out like our draft kind of what we think. And then you guys could go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
That works. If nobody has any other questions, the next thing I had on the list was grant updates, and that was something Mercedes asked me to add, and she was gonna let the board know how things were going on what she had found, and she had met with Miss Elizabeth. I'm going to have to push that to February because neither of them are here, so I'm just gonna move along if that's okay. So committee reports, finance.
Did I miss, did you guys approve last month's minutes?
That's at the end.
Oh, okay. Well, assuming everybody approves it, that means our revised budget is approved and I can update the information with the district. So for now, I just have it updated in my spreadsheet. Adam, can you pull up the report, please?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I'm sharing it right now. It's on YouTube and I got it. 1 second. There we go. Everybody see that?
Yep. Let me just move this. Okay, so what this is basically saying is our full-time enrollment is 381.5. Being December, we're 50% through the budget. So my target for these categories is 50%. From revising the budget, we are tracking perfectly. 51% in revenues. Can you scroll down? 47% in payroll, which being a little low on here is great because it's a huge amount. And so 3% of that with our next revision will really enable me to keep my accounts within balance. Scroll down a little. This building rental, it's highlighted, and the reason it's high is because we ended up having to get those 3 connexes. Normally, I'm just paying for the 1 temp building. So this is going to go away hopefully in the next month or two. But again, this category of purchase services, 46%. And going down, my materials and supplies are also tracking at what? Next page, 53%. The building improvements account that's in yellow. This is the money we've indicated we're going to pull from reserves to pay for North. I know I have about another 100,000 coming through, and what else trickles in, but so that's a little high, but that's nearing the end. Overall, you see our coverage ratio, our budget is 1.30. Currently, we're at 4.69, but that's just because we haven't paid a lot of our base rents. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer, but I was very pleased at this month's reporting.
Excellent. Any questions? I'm going to stop sharing.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, me too.
All right, then we'll move along. Marketing, Adam, Justin.
Adam, I'll share this report with you. We took the direct mailers out. There were 2 mailboxes this year instead of 3 or postal stations to drop off at. We did a few less direct mailers this year. Obviously, we didn't have the target that we did last year, where there were a lot of schools shutting down and students looking for new homes, new home schools. So we went with Adam, you might be able to backfill this a little bit, kind of the focus and the targeting on the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I just schools with high concentrations of younger people. So USPS, we've talked about this before. USPS has a pretty good demographic tool that allows you to sort of go through and target essentially postage routes, and you can target routes based on sort of lots of different criteria. But essentially, we targeted neighborhoods in the area that had young people, and that was really sort of my criteria. You can sort so that the youngest, the most young people in an area are at the top, and I just sort of highlighted a whole bunch of neighborhoods, and we clicked send to these people, and we came up. I think it was about 4,000 households.
Yes, I think that was a couple thousand less than we sent last year. The results from what we see on the Rebrandly clicks, which is if anybody actually scanned the QR code on those mailers, show that we had about 10 clicks come through out of that many direct mailers, which is pretty standard for percentage return or return on investment on mailers. But we obviously didn't have as much of a call to action. It was more of just an awareness.
We also had a short link on there too, where people could type it in, and we had about 10 people who went through that link. One of the fascinating things, I think that's the only place we ever posted that short link last year. And looking at the click through rate, right after the mailer went out, it was about the same number of people. But throughout the course of the year, like even into August and September, people were following the links from the mailer. Which is
residual.
Odd to me that people had held on to that mailer for that long. But I think there's certainly a possibility that people continue to click through based on that.
Kind of thing that maybe gets smacked on a refrigerator on a magnet if you got a kid that's going to start attending soon. So yeah, so it's good, and something we can kind of weigh and look at again, and we can track those clicks throughout the summer and kind of see if we want to do it again. Marketing committee is woe for a meeting. It's been a little while. We were just getting through the holidays ourselves, and then Adam and I were out shoving flyers into postal centers. So we'll probably start to reassess here as soon as we come up for air and get the committee focused on some spring and summer projects. I think that's all we got.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Emily for an update from SAC.
Short/no real update from SAC. We don't meet till February 5th. We met early December. For the February meeting, we will talk about the mid-year data and make some final decisions about surveys based on our conversation at the December meeting. I don't think that there will be any significant changes to the surveys. But of course, if there are, those will go to the board for approval.
Sounds good to me. Ted and Adam, any update that we need to have for the board from the grievance committee?
I've not seen any grievances come in my way.
Yep, same, no update.
No news is good news on that front. Monthly meetings, PTA. Ted, it puts you on the spot again, but
Yeah, so PTA did meet last week. A couple items for the community. First, they started talking about the spring auction, which is going to be on April 13th. The primary bidding items this year will be more experience and art projects based. All things going smoothly, the plan is to hold the auction at the North Building. So that'll be open to everybody, more open, festive, not the same format as last year. Other items, so I think there's going to be 2 PTA positions open next year, board positions. So they're going to start recruiting for that in the spring. That'll be upcoming. And then other upcoming items, so there's a couple socials being planned. They're going to be separated by level. There's going to be more detail coming from the PTA on those soon. So folks, keep your eye out for those notices. And then also some approved grants. So they approved a 3D printer for the middle school. They approved a taxidermy project that will be used throughout the school for educational purposes. And then they approved a talent show item for Mr. Tyler to reimburse him for his time.
I would like everybody to know that now I hold a migrant bird permit, thanks to our taxidermy dollars.
Nice.
Do you know the PTA discussion about that taxidermy went on for a long time?
It was a spirited discussion. Yes.
Yeah. Here to discussion about whether, yes. But we made Miss Lucinda very happy. So
Yes.
Can I actually I just jump in?
So much.
I should have brought this up under the marketing part a little bit. So I was approached. The PTA apparently is proceeding with getting T-shirts made for all the students and staff. And they mentioned, I had worked some on a logo. We'd come up. The marketing committee decided that maybe the best way to proceed was to come up with a few different designs for logos and then have the school community vote on it. They told me that they didn't know that there was enough time to make that happen, and that they were eager to proceed with a logo. I didn't want to force that unnecessarily or without enough buy-in, but I think that my next step is to have a conversation with them about what that looks like. I don't want to spring a new logo on the school without some discussion. But if it proceeds in any other way, I will make sure to inform the board.
Anybody have any thoughts for Adam on that? Not at this time.
I know our current logo is very exciting, and people will be very sad to see it go.
Also regarding PTA stuff, I sent out the email regarding the board doing some kind of activity. I have not heard back from many of you, but one thought that did come back my way is, are we trying to do an activity that involves kids? Or are we trying to do an activity that's for adults only? Like a wine tasting or a beer pull or something that parents could bid on, and then we could do that activity together with parents only. Or we could do something with kids. We could do something individually as board members. I like the idea of doing it as an entire board and kind of coming up with some idea whether it's kids focused or parents focused. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't care which direction we go in or if we want to do one of each. I'm just throwing that out there for people to keep thinking about, because at some point we'll need to get back to the PTA about an idea.
Avery, can you expand on that? Because I'm not sure I understand what you're asking us for.
Ted, do you understand it, or do you want me to It was the email I forwarded to everybody that came from Caitlin. That because it's an experience-based fundraiser, they were hoping the board would be willing to put on an experience, kind of set something up, whether it be something for, I mean, there were no parameters if it like was individual board members or the board as a whole. Just something fun, whether it's for like 5 adults or 10 adults or 10 kids or whatever we happen to decide on. She gave a couple of examples in her email. So I would go back to that email that I forwarded. It was sometime last week, I think earlier in the week. Caitlin sent it to me and I just forwarded it on, explaining what she was hoping for. And I told her I'd get back to her after the board has some time to sit with it and think about it.
Last year I did a whiskey tasting. I'm happy to do that sort of on a sort of one-to-one basis. I probably won't invite kids, but I could if I need to.
I mean, we could also try and do it where, you know, we open it up exactly what you know, a whiskey taste, but let's do it with 5 adults and, you know, as many board members as can make it all on the same night and not talk board business, but it's just an adult get together. So different ideas.
And this would be like an item that people would bid on during the auction?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't have to pick anything tonight, just putting it out there again for people to think about and send me ideas. And then when we get closer as a board, we'll kind of narrow it down. So with that, unless there's something else, Ted, I'm going to move on.
Nope, that's all I got. Thanks.
So the next thing is JCSC. Next meeting is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Compass. If anybody else would like to attend, we can have multiple board members there. The person who is slated to run the meeting is Susan Miller. For those that don't know, she just came off of Jeffco's board. Prior to being on Jeffco's board, she was actually on MPA's board of directors. So I really like her a lot. I've had some interactions with her. She's been to one of the meetings before. I think it was last spring before she was off of Jeffco's board. But anybody is welcome to come. It's 5:30 at Compass. Feel free to join me.
I will be there, Reed.
Okay.
Because it's not way up and wherever they usually have it.
And we've talked about having them once the north building is complete. I think MPA used to host pretty, you know, not that rarely.
But they move around to different schools. They're trying to hit different schools within the district
Sure.
who are a part of JCSC. And so once we're ready, we can throw it out there that we're good to host.
Great.
The next thing is board calendar. And I put 2 specific things on there, and then Emily, after that, I'm gonna let you take over. I have confirmed strategic planning dates. So based on the survey that we did, these 2 dates are the ones that work for everybody the best. Friday, February 2nd and Friday, March 8th at 4 p.m. I know everybody is super busy. I have asked Ted, and he has graciously accepted to help take the lead on strategic planning. And we're going to meet with Robin and Beth to get some ideas from the school as to what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're feeling. So we aren't sitting around just brainstorming for a couple of hours that first Friday. We'd like to try and hit the ground running a little bit more than that. So hopefully those dates work for everybody. And I'm just going to have them be on our calendar, and that's what we're going to do. Because I think everybody responded to that survey, and everybody definitely can make it on the 2nd. So please keep that open for us. The second
Can you
thing is,
repeat the dates again, please?
sorry, February 2nd and March 8th. Jen, it's not something you have to attend. You're more than welcome to be there if you want to just pop in for an hour, but don't feel like you have to commit those hours.
No, I just want to make sure you guys get fed.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thanks. I wasn't planning on that.
Are there are the latest documents related to the strategic plan available somewhere on the Google Drive, or could someone
Yes,
circulate those
I
so we
can
have
try and
make sure?
send out a direct link. Give me a couple days to find it.
Yeah, that's fine. I
might
just
not
thought we
happen
might
till the
circulate
end.
those. Sure.
It's Sorry, I have a really crazy couple of busy days.
Yeah, got it.
So CLCS, Colorado League of Charter Schools, holds a yearly conference. It is typically 2 days long, and the day before they have some dinners for people who are getting awards and whatnot. So Tuesday, February 27th, Wednesday, February 28th. The board typically has 3 tickets. It is really helpful for networking. It's really helpful for board governance information. It's just a great experience, and there's some amazing information that is shared, and there's good people to ask questions. If you have questions about certain things going on or get ideas or brainstorming, I really would like 2 other board members to come to that with me. Are there people who can come?
Reed, I have a quick question because Gary and I spoke yesterday and he was suggesting I go to this, and that's fine. You know, he said it was very helpful. So I am intending, is that something we pay for to go? I guess I
The
probably am.
school pays for you to go and for 3 board members to go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if we figure out people ASAP, it's discounted to get the tickets soon.
Perfect.
Like a 25% off if we do it by the end of January, at least in the email I got. So it'd be really great to have other people there. Lunch, and I think breakfast is served. So anybody available?
What's the date again?
Tuesday the 27th and Wednesday the 28th of February. It is at the Denver Tech Center Marriott this year.
I might be
Just
able
on
to
the
come.
south end of town. Last year it was in Westminster.
And is it full days both days, or?
Yeah, it was like 8 or 8:30. Maybe it was breakfast 8 to 8:30. And then it was done sometime between 4 and 4:30, I think. The second day, some people left a little bit earlier. Some people stayed all the way to the end.
I'll stay in touch. I might be able to attend that. That sounds interesting.
Okay, so if you're interested in going, shoot me an email, please. So I can give those names to Jen to get the tickets. Emily, anything else for the calendar?
Yes, there are several things for the calendar. I actually had a couple of items from December to follow up with Jen on. We had file the annual report for the school with the state for December.
I need to look into that because
Okay.
I file a report for the school, the PTO, and the building. So I want to make sure I get them all. I have them all.
Okay.
So I'll look into that. I got your
Okay.
email too.
Got it. Okay. Let's see. We had post the financial audit to the website.
Done.
Done. Okay. And file the annual report for the building foundation. Confirm membership with the state.
And that's part of what the first one was. I know I've done one,
Got it.
but I haven't done both. So
Okay.
I'll look into it.
Okay. There's only one budget item for January, which is begin budget review. Not sure exactly what that is, but
That's what we did last month. And then we'll do it again in March or when we get that PPR number, we'll start working on the following year's budget. But
Okay.
we're on track. Mhm.
got it. Okay, this item is for the secretary. Send previous quarter's board minutes to the district.
So I think all of those have been given to Jen. And I think Jen, you send them to the district, right?
Correct.
Okay, so those are done?
I need December's.
Okay. As soon as
We
we approve it
haven't-
tonight.
yeah,
I
we
can
haven't voted
give it to
yet.
her.
Okay, so Jen, you'll send those, with the exception of December, that's done.
No, I send them quarterly. So when I
Oh,
get
got it.
December's,
You
I'll
need
send
December's
them
and
all.
then you will send. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Review of bylaws, policies, and procedures. That's a very open-ended, broad task. Irit, do you have any thoughts on that or what we should be looking at for that?
If there's any procedures or whatever that we feel like need to be reviewed, we can. I know we did the grievance policy in the fall. I think if we run into things as we see them, we just need to work on it. I have not gone through and read every policy, nor am I planning to do so.
I
but
don't
if
think
we
you need to.
find things like when we do strategic planning or whatnot,
Okay.
we need to look at. We can.
I do know we still need to update. We updated the grievance policy for the community, but we didn't do it for the staff. So I knew that's on the list, but okay.
Will there need to be any policies or procedures in place for opening North? Separate from the school or
So,
something?
my thought is that the North Building would adopt all of the policies and procedures that the school already has because they're part of MPA. So the question would be, does that building need anything of its own on top of what we already have?
So we will be working on before it even opens, adjusting the emergency binder to include their drill procedures. That's the biggest thing, which we knew was coming down the pike. It's actually not a huge modification. That's the other thing Erin and I work on together. So. I would say beyond that, it's more of working out the tasks we have, like with the servering, what we're going to do with that. But it's a lot of little procedures like that really is not something, that's just something on the operations side we have to work out.
Anything else calendar wise?
And is that accurate, Robin, that that's not necessarily a board thing, that's probably.
Yeah, that's really operations. Like it's
Yeah.
to get that all in place. Mm-hmm. Like mind you,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. We have the administrator evaluation, which Irit and we had some discussion about that. I don't know who all needs to be involved in that.
I'm going to put an executive session in for February for everybody to kind of get a chance to talk together about where we're at and where we're going with it. I want to get a chance for all of us to do another executive session in March with Robin in, so that as a board, we can sort of present it to her or have a chance to have some discussion. I should probably present it to her individually. It just gets really time consuming. But just to have that little bit of time to do that. But otherwise, I think we're good in terms of timeline on that.
Okay. Review strategic plan process. We are set to do that. Principal report on goal progress. I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to cover. Is that for the? Yeah, I don't know. It just says goal progress.
Probably
I don't know either.
Goal, but
UIP goals.
Usually we'll go over at accountability the mid-year data, but in progress with our focus on written expression and all the PD we're doing and discussions.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, it really is just that heightened awareness across all the levels. We continue to work on it. So all of our PD days have had some form of written expression. Well, not that we've had so many full PD days, but also staff meetings. I typically do 30 minutes of business and then 30 minutes of whether it's PD or really level discussions around those goals. So whether it be the behavior norming, which we've kind of got under control for the most part, but really a lot of it's around the written expression. And the latest discussion really was coming back from break. It's really hard to do sometimes in a Montessori environment, but really just, we've got the written expression focus and the handwriting, but also elevating a little bit of the keyboarding because it is what it is. That's a component we have to make sure kids have exposure to for how we're measured as a school. So it's got balance of Montessori, but also integrating some of those aspects in. So that was our latest conversation.
Yeah. Okay, and the last item is board election planning.
So the vice president is the person who typically takes on most of the work for board elections. There should be a folder in the board docs with a lot of information, and my recommendation would be to have a conversation with Justin because he did it last year.
Yeah, I made a lot of updates to that and made those notes a little bit more current. So whoever's nightmare, is that you, Emily? Is that your
Yep.
nightmare?
Yep.
Yeah. When you start digging, I really tried to spell it out step by step, but if you need to sit down and go through it, it makes pretty decent sense if you're comfortable with like online software, that kind of thing. But you got my email, my phone number, my text, whatever you need, just reach out.
What's the timing?
Like now till forever. It's if I recall, I made notes specifically on like around this time this needs to be done. I think I'll go back while we're talking here. I'll go back and look, and then we might just do a shared screen when you got an evening or something, you know, and an extra 30 minutes to throw away. I'll be happy to work with you on it. So but
yeah,
it's still the most fresh thing in my brain from last year, so I'd be happy to help with you.
Okay, that all sounds good. Okay, that was the last item on the board calendar.
Okay, so moving on to the next thing, approving the agenda and minutes from last month. So Rebecca, I'm gonna let you take over. Well, actually, not yet. We need a motion.
Okay.
Sorry.
I motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted for last month, December.
I'll second.
Okay. Adam,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Erie,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
a yes. Ted
Yes.
and Terry.
Yes.
And with that, motion passes.
Thank you. All right. So before we adjourn, I just wanted to say thank you to the school community, the staff, parents, and the rest of the board for your patience as we have worked through all the ups and downs with the North building and trying to get that building open and getting the program moved over has been a process. And so thank you for your patience with me. I've communicated as much as I could as we've gone and answered questions as they've come up to the best of my ability. I also hope that, you know, we're getting rolling with second semester. Winter is definitely upon us. Stay safe, be careful on any icy spots, take care of yourselves as we continue to kind of roll through the winter here. And thank you to everybody for all the work that you're doing individually for tasks for the board. So with that, I guess we're adjourned.
It's everyone.
Okay.